Everyone thought this would be just another celebrity interview, but they were dead wrong. Kate Winslet walked onto The View, calm, composed, and then she said something that left Joy Behar speechless. The studio went completely silent. The audience couldn't believe what they were hearing. In just one moment, Kate Winslet flipped the entire conversation and exposed the truth behind live TV, and you have to see it to believe it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Now let's dive into what really happened. No one, absolutely no one, saw this coming. What began as a standard daytime television interview, the kind viewers half-watch while scrolling their phones, suddenly transformed into one of the most unforgettable moments in live TV history. The studio audience expected the usual formula: polite smiles, friendly banter, a few jokes, and quick promotion of an upcoming project. That's how these interviews always go. But this time, the script was quietly torn apart, live on air. Instead of harmless chatter, viewers witnessed Kate Winslet calmly, confidently, and completely dismantle Joy Behar's narrative on The View. There was no yelling, no dramatic outburst, no viral meltdown. What made the moment explosive was something far rarer and far more powerful: a composed truth delivered at exactly the right time. From the moment Kate Winslet stepped onto the stage, something felt different. She didn't enter like a celebrity hunting applause or validation. She walked in with a quiet assurance, a relaxed posture, and a calm smile that suggested she wasn't there to perform. She was there to speak honestly. The audience clapped. The host greeted her warmly. Cameras rolled. Everything appeared perfectly normal. But beneath that polished surface, a subtle tension was already forming. Kate sat comfortably, listening carefully as the host introduced her. She nodded, smiled, and thanked them, yet there was a noticeable stillness about her, an awareness. She wasn't distracted. She wasn't rushing her thoughts. She looked like someone who had already decided she wouldn't be boxed in or led where she didn't want to go. Then Joy Behar leaned forward. Anyone familiar with The View knows that moment. It's the moment when a simple question carries more weight than it lets on. Joy's posture shifted slightly. Her expression sharpened, and her tone signaled that the conversation was about to move beyond safe territory. Still, no one expected what followed. The question itself wasn't aggressive. It didn't sound hostile. In fact, it was framed cleverly, wrapped in humor, opinion, and cultural commentary. The kind of question designed to push a guest into a defensive position without ever appearing confrontational. The audience waited for Kate to respond with a safe answer. She didn't. Instead, Kate paused, not awkwardly, not nervously, but deliberately. That pause was the first crack in the usual daytime TV rhythm. The chatter stopped. The laughter faded. Even the host seemed unsure whether to jump in or stay silent. In that brief moment, the power in the room shifted. Then Kate began to speak. Her voice was calm, measured, respectful, but every word carried weight. She didn't respond emotionally. She responded thoughtfully. She didn't react to the question itself. She challenged the idea behind it. This wasn't a performance. This was a statement. As she spoke, it became clear that this was not going to be a typical celebrity exchange. Kate wasn't interested in pleasing the room or aligning herself with applause lines. She was focused on clarity, and clarity on live television can be dangerous. Joy Behar smiled, nodded, and prepared to interject. But something had already changed. The audience leaned in. The energy shifted. The usual back-and-forth flow of The View was quietly slipping out of its normal structure. This wasn't turning into an argument. It was turning into a moment of exposure. And before anyone fully realized what was happening, this calm, controlled exchange was already on its way to becoming a viral television moment that would dominate headlines, clips, and comment sections for days. Because sometimes the most shocking moments on live TV don't come from chaos. They come from someone who refuses to play the role they were expected to play. Joy Behar opened with what sounded, at first, like a familiar setup. Politics, Hollywood responsibility, public influence. It was the kind of question viewers of The View had heard countless times before, carefully worded, wrapped in concern, and framed as a discussion rather than a challenge. Joy spoke about the role of celebrities in shaping public opinion, hinting that actors carry a special responsibility to be careful with their views. But beneath the polished wording was something else. The question subtly suggested that celebrities like Kate Winslet should stay in their lane, unless, of course, their opinions align with certain approved narratives. It wasn't said outright. It didn't need to be. The implication was clear enough, and that's when the tone in the room shifted. Kate didn't respond immediately. She didn't smile through it. She didn't rush to soften the moment. Instead, she paused, not defensively, not nervously, but thoughtfully. That pause lasted only a second or two, yet it felt much longer. The studio grew quiet. The audience sensed it. The other hosts felt it. This wasn't the pause of someone searching for a safe answer. This was the pause of someone deciding how honest they were willing to be on live television. Then Kate responded. She didn't attack Joy Behar. She didn't accuse her of bias. She didn't raise her voice or show frustration. What she did instead was far more effective. She challenged the foundation of the question itself. Kate explained calmly and clearly that the idea of separating people into allowed and unallowed voices based on profession is deeply flawed. She spoke about how reducing human values to political sides damages real conversation, how it turns dialogue into performance, how it encourages silence instead of understanding. Her words were measured, but they carried weight. She talked about empathy, not as a buzzword, but as a responsibility, about listening before labeling, about the danger of assuming someone's intent simply because they don't repeat familiar talking points. And most importantly, she addressed the unspoken part of question. She explained that celebrity voices shouldn't be dismissed or silenced simply because they don't fit a preferred narrative. That being an actor doesn't erase a person's life experience, education, or ability to think critically about the world. As she spoke, the audience leaned in. Joy Behar smiled politely and attempted to interject, something she's known for doing to maintain control of the conversation. But Kate didn't push back aggressively. She didn't talk over her either. She waited. That moment mattered. Kate allowed Joy to finish her brief interruption, nodded respectfully, and then continued, more focused, more precise, and even clearer than before. That choice alone changed the power dynamic completely. For the first time, Joy Behar wasn't steering the conversation. Kate Winslet was. The calm confidence in Kate's delivery made it impossible to dismiss her response as emotional or reactionary. She wasn't defending herself. She was explaining a principle. And that distinction made all the difference. You could feel it in the room. The usual rhythm of The View, quick exchanges, light humor, rapid transitions, was gone. In its place was something rarer. A genuine, unscripted moment where one guest refused to play along a loaded narrative. Kate wasn't there to win an argument. She was there to be honest. And by doing so, she quietly exposed how the question itself was designed. Not to understand, but to categorize. Not to explore ideas, but to control the direction of the conversation. That's when it became clear to everyone watching. This interview was no longer following the usual script. And the most powerful part? Kate never once lost her composure. This is the moment where everything changed. Not loudly, not dramatically, but permanently. Kate Winslet didn't just answer a question. She redefined the conversation. With calm authority, she explained that being an actor does not strip someone of their right to speak thoughtfully about the world around them. She reminded the audience, without arrogance, without defensiveness, that actors are not manufactured products designed to entertain and disappear. They are people. People who observe society. People who learn through experience. People who think deeply about issues that exist far beyond movie sets, scripts, and red carpets. Her tone was steady, almost instructional. It didn't sound like a lecture. It sounded like clarity. Kate spoke about responsibility, but not in the way daytime television usually frames it. She didn't say celebrities should stay silent. She didn't say they should dominate conversations either. Instead, she emphasized something far more reasonable and far more powerful. Everyone has a responsibility to speak honestly, and everyone else has a responsibility to listen. Then she shifted the focus. Kate addressed the media itself. She spoke about how modern talk shows often reward conflict instead of understanding, how sharp exchanges generate clicks, headlines, and viral moments, but rarely generate progress. She explained how conversations are often framed to provoke reactions rather than reveal truth. And without naming names, without pointing fingers, she described how leading questions are designed, how they're crafted to corner guests, to force them into predictable roles, and to create moments that can be edited, clipped, and consumed. The audience knew exactly what she was talking about. You could hear it in the sudden wave of applause. This wasn't polite clapping. This was recognition. Joy Behar tried to recover the rhythm of the show. She smiled, cracked a light joke, and attempted to guide the conversation back to safer ground. On most days, that tactic works. This time, it didn't. Kate acknowledged the humor. She smiled back. She didn't reject the moment, but she didn't retreat either. And then, with perfect timing, she delivered a line that instantly changed everything. Respectful disagreement shouldn't feel threatening, unless power depends on never being questioned. The studio froze. That sentence didn't just land. It echoed. For a brief moment, no one spoke. The audience reacted first, erupting into applause that felt louder, longer, and more intentional than anything before it. The other hosts shifted in their seats. Some nodded. Others avoided eye contact. And Joy Behar's expression said it all. This wasn't something she could laugh off. Kate hadn't insulted her. She hadn't accused her of bad intentions. She hadn't raised her voice or displayed anger. She had done something far more disarming. She had exposed the power dynamic itself. Calmly, clearly, publicly, Kate remained unshakably composed. That composure made her words impossible to dismiss as emotional, reactionary, or defensive. There was no chaos to hide behind, no outburst to criticize, only clarity. In that moment, it became clear why this exchange felt different from every other debate viewers had seen on The View. Kate wasn't trying to dominate the room. She wasn't trying to win. She was standing still, while the ground shifted beneath everyone else. The usual tools of control, jokes, interruptions, topic changes, simply didn't work against someone who wasn't seeking approval or validation. Kate had quietly taken ownership of the conversation, not by force, but by refusing to be reduced. And that's what made this moment legendary. Because live television is built on speed, noise, and reactions, Kate Winslet slowed everything down. And in doing so, she revealed just how powerful calm confidence can be, especially when it speaks the truth. Live television survives on rhythm. Talk, laugh, interrupt, move on. That rhythm is carefully maintained, especially on a show like The View, where momentum is everything. But after Kate Winslet's response, that familiar rhythm didn't just slow down. It collapsed completely. For a moment, the studio fell into an unmistakable silence. Not the kind of silence caused by technical issues or confusion, but the kind that happens when everyone realizes something important has just been said and no one knows how to respond without making it worse. The audience hesitated. Then came the applause. At first, it was cautious. A few claps, a few murmurs. Then it grew, stronger, louder, and more confident. This wasn't applause driven by excitement. It was applause driven by agreement, recognition, respect. The camera briefly cut to the hosts. Some nodded subtly, their expressions thoughtful. Others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. A few avoided eye contact altogether, staring down at their notes or glancing toward the audience. The energy at the table had changed, and everyone could feel it. Joy Behar tried to regain control. She smiled and attempted to pivot the conversation to a lighter topic, something safer, something familiar. On any other day, this would have worked. The show would have reset itself, and the moment would have passed. But this time it didn't. The shift was too real. The words were still hanging in the air. For the remainder of the segment, Joy spoke noticeably less. When she did speak, her tone was softer, more cautious. The usual quick interruptions and sharp humor were gone. The authority she normally commanded at the table felt restrained. Kate, on the other hand, remained exactly the same. She didn't press her advantage. She didn't repeat her point. She didn't lean into the discomfort she had created. Instead, she stayed gracious, calm, respectful. She thanked the host for the conversation. She acknowledged that people can disagree without becoming divided. She emphasized the importance of dialogue, not debate, not dominance, but genuine conversation. That contrast is what made the moment unforgettable. Kate didn't win by overpowering Joy Behar. She won by outclassing the entire exchange. There was no ego in her delivery, no need for applause, no attempt to embarrass anyone, and that made the silence even louder. When the segment finally ended, viewers could feel that something unusual had just happened. This wasn't a viral clip manufactured by outrage. It was a moment that felt authentic, and authenticity is rare on live television. Within minutes of the show airing, clips began circulating online. Short clips, long clips, reaction videos, commentary threads. Headlines followed almost immediately. Social media platforms lit up with discussion, not just from fans of Kate Winslet, but from people who rarely agree on anything. And what stood out was this. The conversation wasn't centered on politics. It was centered on delivery. People weren't arguing about sides. They were reacting to how calmly the truth had been spoken, how powerfully restraint had landed, how refreshing it felt to watch someone refuse to be pulled into chaos. Comments flooded in. She didn't raise her voice once. That's how you shut down a loaded question. This is what confidence looks like. Over and over, the same words appeared. Calm, clear, unapologetic. That's why this moment spread. Not because it was loud, but because it was undeniable. And by the time viewers finished watching the clip, one thing was obvious. This wasn't just an awkward moment on daytime TV. It was a reminder that sometimes the most powerful reaction is composure. This wasn't just about Kate Winslet and Joy Behar. That's the first thing to understand. If this had been just another celebrity disagreement, it would have disappeared within hours, buried under the endless cycle of outrage clips and counterclips. But this moment didn't fade. It spread, and it kept spreading because it tapped into something much deeper. Audiences are exhausted. They're tired of manufactured outrage, tired of conversations designed to provoke reactions instead of reveal truth, tired of interviews that feel more like traps and discussions, where guests are pushed into predictable boxes, and viewers are told what they're supposed to think before the conversation even ends. What people saw in Kate Winslet was the opposite of that. They saw authenticity. Kate refused to play the usual Hollywood game. She didn't perform outrage. She didn't chase applause. She didn't align herself with talking points just to stay comfortable. Instead, she stood still while everything around her tried to pull her into chaos. And that stillness is what made the moment powerful. Kate reminded people of something many have forgotten. Strength doesn't need volume. Confidence doesn't require cruelty. And authority doesn't come from dominating a conversation. It comes from understanding it. In a media landscape built on speed, noise, and reaction, Kate slowed the moment down. She chose clarity over conflict, thoughtfulness over theatrics, and that choice stood out like a spotlight. That's why the clip didn't disappear after broadcast. It became a symbol of speaking thoughtfully in environments designed to provoke, a symbol of standing firm without becoming hostile, a symbol of challenging narratives without becoming part of the noise. People from different backgrounds, beliefs, and perspectives found something relatable in that exchange, not because they all agree with Kate's views, but because they recognized the way she handled pressure. Grace under pressure is rare, and when it appears, people notice. The comments online reflected that. Viewers weren't arguing over politics. They were discussing composure. They were praising restraint. They were pointing out how unusual it felt to watch someone remain calm while refusing to be controlled. That reaction says more about the moment than any headline ever could. Whether you agree with Kate Winslet or not, one thing is undeniable. She didn't just answer a question. She exposed the system behind it. She revealed how conversations are shaped, how narratives are protected, and how power reacts when it's calmly questioned instead of loudly challenged. And that, on live television, is the most dangerous thing you can do. Because once people see the system, they can't unsee it. And once a moment like that happens, it doesn't belong to the show anymore. It belongs to the audience.